What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Anime on Draft. We are doing episode 155 today. I'm your host, Drew, joined by the full crew. We got Alec, Mark, and Rolando. How you guys doing on a Monday?
I'm doing Monday.
Good.
You're doing Monday.
I'm doing Monday stuff on Monday.
Nice.
Well, the good thing about this Monday is we have some brews. The unfortunate thing is for some reason I live in San Diego, but could not find a Modern Times beer. However, the other gents could, so they're going to be drinking
I'm in a whole different
the Modern
state and
Time.
found it.
Yeah, what is going on here? But yeah, the boys have got the Modern Times Black House Coffee Stout. I'm switching it up a little bit. I have a black lager. It is a limited edition series from McKellar and Resident Culture, the Shadows of Tomorrow. And you may notice the MF Doom.
That is
on
awesome.
The, on the
I love
can
it.
art. It's an interesting one, so I'm actually excited to kind of talk about it. But we'll get into those beers in just a little bit. We have a jam-packed show for you all here today. We're going to be talking some Orashiri. We got more Penguin Drum, more Shinsekai Yori. I think we're probably going to rant a little bit later about yesterday because I think everyone's kind of fed up with some of the characters, myself included. So we'll talk about that and a little bit of news and some other stuff going on. So like I said, jam-packed episode. So let's jump right into it. So for our weekly pairing, I figured we would start off with our Orashiri segment. Do you want to get us hyped for this? You want to play us in? Do it. So I don't know about you guys. That always gets my blood pumping. We had another one. It's always a good episode when you get to rock over Japan. So always happy to see that. But Penguin Drum episode 7. Mark, you kind of mentioned that there's this episode slowed down a little bit for you, but I think there is still quite a bit going on that we need to pay attention to. Especially because it seems like the tide is turning in terms of Project M, and there's almost like 2 Project M's going on at the same time. So a lot to kind of digest there, but I'll kind of go through some of my notes and got some questions in here for everybody, and we'll kind of go from there. So first thing we go into kind of Yuri sort of playing the game very well. She knows exactly what she's doing, and Ringo kind of gets left out to dry in terms of not only having to sit through her play, but also basically sitting through their engagement party, which is I know a pretty brutal blow to Ringo. The question that kind of comes out to this, that comes at the forefront for me is, do you think we're still following, or Ringo's still following to a T, the Destiny Journal? Is she following it more towards Shoma? Because it seems like Tabuki's kind of like out of her grasp at this point. But folks who haven't seen it, what do you think? Are we still in line? What's going on with that Destiny Journal?
I don't think that Destiny Journal's been followed since like the start. her idea of following the Destiny Journal with the teacher dude was like, oh well, we ate together. You ate food underneath his floor while he also ate food. That's not the same thing as eating food together. It's definitely leaning more towards the blue. What's his name?
Shoma, yeah.
Like
Shoma.
the kiss in the park was with him, and it's just, it all keeps revolving around those two, in my opinion.
Yeah, it
agreement,
doesn't,
Mark.
yeah, it doesn't really seem like Ringo is being clumped into this, future diary. I think she's like seeing these things kind of happen, but they're not exactly happening to her.
Well, she's super delusional, right? It's like
Yes,
in her mind, it's making total sense. Like we're doing this thing, I'm under the floorboard. We're spending our wedding night together, but are you really? Is that what you consider
It's called stalking.
spending time together? Yeah, it's there's a lot of
That's
things
illegal.
that you call that.
And
Yeah,
dangerous.
And dangerous.
Ringo. Ringo's kind of a wild character because she's like totally delusional and just like the shit that she does, and you're just like shaking your head. It's like, this is like you should be in jail. You
Yeah,
are a
she
crazy
should be
person.
in jail.
I'm gonna get all like high school literature teacher on you here. Maybe I'm reading too far into this, but in terms of what they were wearing at the party, I'm talking specifically about Ringo and Yuri. We got Ringo wearing like black, dark colors, sort of like representing, at least in my mind, like a funeral. And it's kind of like, the Destiny Journal is ending with Tabuki. That part's being cut off.
It's the death of her innocence.
High school literature teacher, you're getting all like fucking like film school analysis in there.
There's some.
Right.
There's some. I bring up the high school literature because it's like the meme. Like you can read something and like interpret it like any way that you want.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I see that. And then Yuri, like very bold, very bright, wearing like red, like going for the throat, in for the blood. So and it kind of shows the difference, at least in my mind, between the two characters. You have Yuri, who's like. Or sorry, you have Yuri, who's like super like in your face, super bold, and just like out there in terms of her love for Tabuki. And then you have like Ringo, who's kind of like playing second fiddle, and it's like this part of her life, or this chapter of her diary, seems to be kind of closing. So leads us into the next thing, the Subway slogan, "Know when to give up." Do you think she'll ever give up, guys?
No. Well, it was kind of weird because it was like there's two characters in those like slogan things, and like one of them was just like deflecting all these hearts, or the other one was just like cleaning up the mess. And then it was that second one that's like cleaning up the mess, and it's like broken hearts. It was like know when to give up. So I thought that was interesting. It's like, so almost seems like Ringo is like that second person where they're just dealing with all this like crap, where like her life and her like romance is just like literally falling apart and breaking, and now she's like trying to like pick up the pieces and like try to fix it almost. But yeah, like she needs to realize that she needs to give up.
He's not like actively trying to fix it, but he's always like, is this like really, he's always like kind of this weird voice of reason as well. But
yeah,
she'll never give up.
Shoma's kind of in like this hard place where it's like he wants to save his sister, so he has to go along with all this bullshit, and it's just like,
but it seems hard for him
to do this now.
It. Yeah.
I think it's I think it's interesting. Like, I'm gonna forget her name. Toki Kage, is that her? Is that the actress's name? What is her name?
Yuri's her
Yuri. All right, I'll just call her Yuri. I thought it was interesting that she brought up Shoma's like name and like keeps asking about him like in like Ringo's presence. Right.
Tokikago.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. That's like
because they've met all of like one time, right? Like at the bird watching scene. Is that it?
Yeah, when he saved her from the lake.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
So the next part, kind of wanted to jump into this. It sounded like last week you talked about some of the potential M's for Project M. Rolando, did you want to get into that a little bit?
Sure. So last week we talked about potentially Project M, meaning Momoka, marriage, like miracle, Mirai, as in future. So there were a couple more that showed up in this episode. Most notably, so in the conversation on the train between Shoma and Ringo, she mentions Musubareru Unmei, which is like this fate of being like bound together, tied together, linked, that she says is like her destiny with Tabuki. And then if you look at like the word, the verb musubareru, it's the passive form of musumu, which is like to tie, bind, and link. And what's interesting about that is the way she says it. So she says it in the passive form, which we don't really use very much in English. Like at all, but like the passive form, if you're not familiar with it, just in terms of grammar, is like a form you use when something happens to you. Like it's not something that you caused yourself. It's just something that happens to you or to the speaker that's using or has an action being done onto them. So the fact that she's using that means like she's not the one that's in control of of like being bound together, and she's talking about this fate, and like she's kind of letting fate rule everything. She's got that blind strength or blind faith in fate itself. So the fact that she like kind of says it this way is like implying like this fate of being bound together that like nothing can be done about. Like she's not the one that's causing this. And so I thought that's like something that you could look into just by like how she's phrasing things. And yeah, so that's another potential M for Project M.
I think you mentioned even one more, and this is kind of like how the episode like kind of ends, but our M for maternity. So essentially going all the way, having a child with Tabuki.
Trapping him.
Entrapment, yeah.
Trap.
Unless it's not just Tabuki, he's in the bed.
Oh shit.
Ooh.
We got a little bit of a cliffhanger. We got her sneaking around, climbing through the floors, and like ending up in his room. And it's just like, what's going on here?
Man, that is so sus. He's just really, really creepy.
She looks like the girl from The Ring, the way she's like crawling into the room, like it's just like really freaky.
Spider Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not
Yeah.
cool.
So,
Not cool.
I don't know if y'all talked about it last week, but do you have any thoughts on like what's going on with the other brother in terms of like accepting money, and then like this whole subplot with the other girl who's like shooting his exes and erasing their memories, and there's some sort of tie-in between where he's getting the money and these like penguin bullets, and any thoughts on what's going on over there with that kind of arc that's kind of simultaneously happening?
Yeah, like he knows more than we do, which is like it's weird to think about, and I feel like it's very confusing for me, because like he knows more than like he's letting on. Because it seems like when we first witnessed the girls getting shot by the bullets, it seemed like he kind of was pretty unaware. But when he like spoke to that mysterious guy, he had that little ball and was like, I thought only certain people can use them or something along those lines. And then the other girl was like, I need to do something soon. I need to act soon.
To crush him soon.
Yeah.
And then the old lady
So
was like, that's not nice.
Oh no, she was using her cell phone and it said no cell phones on the sign.
I just saw the old lady saying that's not nice, and I was like, this is funny.
You're not supposed
You
to
thought she was
talk on
talking
the
about
train.
I need to crush him. Hey, that's not nice.
I didn't know
Don't
what
do
she was
that.
talking about, but I was just like,
I mean,
this is funny. Like, I didn't see the sign, and I didn't think she heard her, but I was just like, this old
better
lady's
people.
cute.
I mean, it still fits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not
So
nice.
yeah, I feel like Kanbud knows more than he's letting on, especially since like we keep seeing the symbol like pop up here and there.
And it's on the
especially in like the
money he's
flashback with the
accepting.
parents. Right.
I don't remember if this is the first time we saw it, but we saw that the other character, the one who's going around sniping people, she has a penguin. Have we seen that penguin before? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it was in the last
Yeah,
when she
episode.
briefly.
was chilling on the
Mm,
couch in front of the fire.
Mm.
It was like right
So-
at the end.
Yeah. So something's going on there. Like Mark said, we kind of don't really know, and hopefully we'll be enlightened soon. But I think that's what we want to talk about. Anything else for Penguin Drum before we move on?
Like that karaoke scene in the play. It basically was like a karaoke song that just
with the
popped
disco
up.
ball and everything.
Disco ball.
That play was terrible.
Yeah,
It was
her-
awful.
Her singing voice is like average at best.
Yeah.
You know what it remind me of, Rolando? It remind me of when we stayed at Ikebukuro. Party!
Oh,
Body.
Mom's
The
place.
fucking dog. Yeah, Mom's place. Calling that damn dog. That's all I could think about when she was singing. She kept saying "Party, party." Anyway, moving on. Let's jump into Shinsekai Yori episode 7. So just some notes here, and we can kind of let those drive the discussion. But I feel, and I hope you guys feel the same way, like the internal politics between like the rat people is pretty crazy, and then the politics that the rat people then have with like humans is like even more like insane. I feel like Satoru is almost like overthinking it too, because he's like, oh, they, these rat people, they more than likely, told on us, and now we have to like escape. And there's like a lot going on that we don't fully understand, and it's just like it's kind of crazy to think about. I don't know if anyone has any other comments on that, but I felt that was kind of interesting. It's just like the inner workings of all these different queer rat clans is kind of insane.
Yeah, I feel like they're starting to sort of wake up and start question things a little bit more, because I mean, like we're trying to dissect the show and really try to figure out like what the hell is going on. But I feel like they're also like starting to question more and more and more, and it's leading them to start taking kind of like making pretty like rash decisions. Because I mean, to me it didn't seem like they were trying to lead them astray, but like at least like I don't know, being in that position, like would I think that they were just trying to kill me all of a sudden?
Yeah, and that kind of leads me into like the next point that I wanted to ask you guys about. It seems like everything that Squealer does is to guide them in a certain direction. Like, oh, go over here. This is where they are. Oh, let's now go over this way and do this. It felt like very directed, and it was almost like him setting a trap for him, but almost not. It was like almost a test at the same time to see like what they would do in that sort of situation.
Yeah.
That seemed like very suspect to me, whereas like he always ends up okay with everything that's going on and is like guiding them in a very specific route.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that a little bit last week. And we were kind of just saying that like, yeah, it seems like he's trying to purposely lead them in certain directions. But I don't know, seeing this week's episode, it kind of also makes me question that too, because I don't know what their relationship was with the other clan that they bumped into. That's why it just seemed like it didn't really make sense to me.
And where the episode ends too, I don't think we're gonna find out very much more. It seems like we have like this time leap into the future, so I don't necessarily know if we will ever really get an answer to what happened in this whole situation. And to me, it felt like it happened like very fast, even though it was over the course of a few episodes. It's like, they're kind of trying to escape and then running, and then all this shit is happening, and then they end up being fine. Felt like it was like, I don't want to say it was rushed, because that's not the right word, but it was like, it felt very frantic in terms of what they were doing and like the situations that they were in. So
I was gonna say the pacing was really good to kind of impart the feelings that they would be feeling, I think, in that situation. Really like afraid, you're not really sure what to do, making quick rash decisions, and it's kind of like, well, you guys aren't really thinking this through. You don't feel like you can think it through while you're watching it. So I think they did a really good job with the pacing, in my opinion, to kind of get those feelings across.
Yep.
Yeah.
So next little bit of notes here. So we find out that it was like basically the monks hypnotized them into sealing their Cantus, and then once they were able to find out what their mantra was, they were able to then unseal it. I like this question here. I didn't think about this. Are there any repercussions to unsealing their Cantus in this way? We kind of, at least me thinking about it, we kind of see it a little bit with Satoru. I don't know if it's him because he was like killing these queer rats, that he's feeling like that, what they're programmed to genetically feel when they like murder things, or if it's like he had his unsealed in like a non-official kind of ceremony thing, and he's feeling the repercussions in that way. And
Did your translation call them queer rats?
Yeah, they call them queer rats.
Why?
Interesting. I was wondering why you said that.
Yeah.
That's what they did. That's what they call.
I mean, they're literally just monster rats. That's like what it translates to.
Yeah, I've watched.
I got blow dogs and queer rats.
Blow dogs and
queer rats.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Queer rats,
I've seen both. I was like, interesting.
What are they trying to say?
I don't know.
They're like oddities.
Strange.
But yeah, anybody else, any thoughts on unsealing their Cantus in this way? Do you think we're gonna have any negative repercussions to this, or was it just him fucking shit up?
it messes up like some of the programming that they had, because he started getting like these really murderous feelings as he was going along using his power, which it didn't seem like he had before. So maybe they do some other, what do they keep calling it? Like not hypnosis, but power, like suggestions when they sealed their Cantus or whatever to add to the programming. And then the other thing I noticed is when they unsealed the genius dude, I forgot his name.
Shun.
Yeah, Shun. His fire was like all crazy as fuck. But whenever we watched the ceremonies before, it was just kind of like, and that was it.
I think that just shows how strong of a power user he is.
Oh, okay. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I think to kind of expand on that a little bit, it seems like when they're in school and doing stuff, it's like very controlled environment where they're like have a specific task to do, but you don't ever get to see like the raw power that they have. And I think you see that with like Satoru too. Like he's able to like chuck boulders and lift trees and set them on fire. So it shows you kind of like the awesome power that they have. And why these rat people kind of view them as gods, because they can do crazy shit like that.
Yeah, I think going back to what your question, like, is this affecting, or are they actually experiencing like the death of shame or shame of death? Or is it like a weird thing, messing with his like programming? I feel like we haven't really gotten a clear sense of if their like power is infinite or not, or if they have a limit. And True. I feel like not knowing that is what is like making me ask the question of like, well, is it actually the death of shame, or is he just getting tired from overusing his power? I feel like I'm leaning more towards the death of shame type of answer, but I feel like not knowing whether or not they have a limit to their power is also kind of an interesting thought, since I don't know, maybe they're young, so they could have some sort of limit.
It's like a muscle, you only have so many uses. I think he mentions too, he's like having trouble concentrating on his mantra.
That was part of the question I had too, was because you kind of bridged the gap here. Are the rats testing like if they have limits to their power? You know what I mean? Are they trying to lead them into all these fights to be like, do they just have unlimited power, or can they eventually get tired and then we could take over at that point? That sort of thing. That's what I was
possibly thinking. I think they also have an agenda too, which is another thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe they're working with the scientists.
Scientists may have created them. That's another question we've talked about before. So we don't know these things. We need another like demon Minishiro to.
I need answers.
And why did he flinch when the blow dogs came out of that dude's jacket?
Yeah, because he's a huge boss, dude.
No, he
believed.
Boss.
He was like, "Are they gonna protect me?" He was testing
he believed.
them. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Do you think this is another question we have in our notes? Do you think that's why Kiromaru helped Saki and Satoru and eventually like tows them back to safety? Do you think it was because he has like admiration that he was saved by them, or do you think maybe something else? My thought is it's either that, like the gratitude of being saved, or potentially using them in the future when they like revolt against the humans. I could see something like that happening. There's just too many unknowns. It's like you can ask all these questions in this show, and it's just like I feel like we're never gonna have like a concrete answer, especially because I feel like, especially after watching the preview, I feel like the show's just gonna jump to the next part. And I'm just like, I have so many unanswered questions. Like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. I definitely feel like he has an agenda for sure. It could be just that he felt like, thanks for saving me. Maybe it's a mixture of both, and he's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna help you guys. But it seems like they're about to go get in trouble, like not get in trouble, but they were just fooling themselves, it said in the preview. And so maybe he knows more obviously than they do. I'm sure he does, and he's thinking he can use unruly children who know a lot to his advantage somehow.
Yeah, that's what it seems, especially with like Squealer or whatever. It's like as soon as Satoru and Saki met up with the other group, he was like, all right, and this is like way too many of them. It almost to me seemed like he was not confident in tricking them as a group as he was to being with Saki and Satoru. At least that was a feeling that I got. I was like, all right, yeah, he's like, okay, this is more than I can handle. I'm out.
Well, if you watch his character, he actually acts just like that stereotypical like brown noser character, you know, like the ones that are always like this and like kissing up to like the lord
master.
of the region, or you know, like he's like basically
I brought
that
you those
exactly
vermin.
that type of character. Yeah, he's that type of character that is just like kissing the feet of everybody that is more powerful than him, and only
Which is
like has no
everyone.
sense of loyalty. It's really just a loyalty to himself and his own desire to profit and to live.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Indeed.
Well, I think the big question is, guys, what happens next? What the hell's gonna happen next?
I don't know. I don't even
It looks
attempt to
like-
like assume with this
Yeah.
show.
It looks like we get somewhat of a time skip because it looks like they just keep getting older. And I don't know if that's just like a common thing in the series where they just like start animating them like older, but like not much time has actually passed like a couple episodes ago. But I don't know. Like, we could actually
sure.
get like a time skip.
It'll be interesting, I think, to see like how they've grown if we do get a time skip from all of this, and then finding out what the adults' agenda is for keeping them around. Because the preview kind of what is it? They make it seem like the adults know. You know, they lost their powers. Why would they have lost their powers unless they were sealed? They probably have an inkling, but why aren't they removing them or kicking them out? Like, what's the agenda there? So
Yeah, what's their punishment?
yeah.
They
Staying in
said, I think they
school.
said like they think like we fooled them, but did they really? I kind of doubt it. So.
Yeah, they were like, we're just fooling ourselves, I think they say at one point. Or the
Yeah.
translation
Yeah, it's-
says that.
Yeah, like I think after hearing Saki say that, it something makes me like feel, and man, I just feel like I have so many theories that go on in this show, and it changes like week to week. But anyways, so something makes me feel that they were sent there like purposefully, and I feel like the adults had a feeling like they probably knew what was going to happen, like they were going to encounter them in Ashuro or get their powers taken away. I don't know. I like I said, I'm just speculating at this point. So.
They want them to find it
if
so
that
they
is the
can
kill
kill them.
Yeah, so they can test them or get rid of them.
So they
I
can
don't know
kill
if that is the
scientist
case. And
peoples. They want to burn down the library.
I don't know.
You gotta find the
It's all
Again.
speculation. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I feel like that's totally plausible. I've never seen it, and I'm like, yeah. Like,
Yeah,
totally. That's
yeah,
a
you're
good
right,
idea.
right.
That's a good idea. And then someone else brings up, yeah, that too. Maybe that. I don't know. I just don't know with this show. Like, there's 50 different things that could be happening, and like it's just
So-
it's wild how complex the world is.
So what I kind of want to ask you guys is, so you've already thought, is there society based off of that scientific, like technological civilization or tribe that existed in the past? And if that's the case, then why are they all of a sudden shunning technology from their civilization? You know, like the Minoshiro, like they're calling them demons and saying like, don't listen to it. Like, is there any reasoning behind that?
I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like they're in their own little bubble and they're almost like an experiment. And like the scientist people like gave them all these tools and set them free and said, do what you will and we'll observe you. And that's the kind of religion that they use to justify that experience or like of these things that are there. I feel like the scientists maybe like plant these like things in here. So like, here's a Minoshiro, like find it and do what you will with it. I can see something like that happening. I hope it's something like that because I think that would be really cool. Probably isn't, but that's where my mind goes.
I
also-
think it's an interesting thought. I feel like they're kind of, or at least like they're whatever secluded society is sort of leading sort of out of fear and kind of instilling fear in everybody. But it's like this like collective fear where like if they all have this like common idea that like they shouldn't speak out or act out or they have to follow like specific rules, then their society will like be okay, like they'll live in this sort of utopia. But I feel like yeah, like the scientists are sort of like controlling their whole society and using this as like some sort of experiment.
It's like their own little Pleasanton.
Sort of, yeah.
I feel like, and just me thinking about it more just now, it's like I feel like the rules that the Minishiro had were like, it was like too easy to bypass it, right? Like something like of that profound amount of like knowledge and technology, and they basically like heard it, and it's like, I'll tell you whatever you want. Like I feel like that is like, I don't know, it's suspect. It's sus.
The test
There's a lot
in
of sus
itself.
going on.
Yeah, it definitely does seem sus.
There's a lot of sus
A lot
on
of
this
sus.
show.
So
No,
sus.
maybe that's a test in itself. Can they hurt this thing? Can these people who are supposed to be, not the new generation that don't go around killing people, can they hurt this? Even if it seems sentient, where it's like, no, please, no,
Don't.
don't do it. And it's like, I'll fucking
Don't
do it.
you touch me.
They also returned to their hometown, which had the suffix number 66 to it. So
Yeah, over
Like a
66.
farm, experiment 66. Here they are.
Mhm.
Gonna go back to our promised Neverland farm, whatever number they were, or whatever. So I don't know. It's pretty sus. Don't know what's gonna happen though.
It's like theory after theory
idea.
with this show. It's like the more I learn, the more I start questioning things, and I'm like,
It's kind of crazy too, because I feel like we're gonna get a knowledge bomb. Like we have to, right? But we're like on episode 7, and we have like all these questions. It's like pretty crazy.
Yeah, like how fleshed out the world is. Well, like unfleshed, like, because we still have so many questions, but like to have this many questions, they've done an amazing job of fleshing out the world, creating these political systems like from humans to rats and rats to rats, and like it's just wild to think, because you have some seasons who try to do this in 13 episodes, and you get to the end and you're like, well, that sucks.
and then you just say it was a bad anime.
Yeah, and then you say, but
Yeah.
this has done it
You're
in
like
7. Like, that's crazy.
I'm watching a show about exploring a dungeon, but we haven't gotten back to a dungeon in like 7 episodes in a whole season. You guys know what I'm talking about. I do agree though. It's like there's so much going on in this world and in this whole land that it seems like like I completely buy into it. But then yet again, it's like we have like all these things that keep popping up that I just keep asking more and more questions that I really I feel like I have no idea about like what's going on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully more answers to come next week. As always, if you're unfamiliar with our Orishiri, we're watching old shows. So next week we will have Penguin Drum episode 8 and Shinsekai Yori episode 8. So look forward to that. But without further ado, let's jump into these beers. I will let you guys first because you are the majority. And I'll remind the listeners that you are drinking the Modern Times Black House Coffee Stout.
Oatmeal coffee stout, actually. I forgot to put that in.
Oatmeal coffee stout.
Really?
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
They
Excuse
don't put
me.
that anywhere on the can.
It's on the description.
In the description.
There you go. So I'll open the floor up to you, gentlemen. What's going on with this beer?
I just want to say, I just noticed it's 75% Ethiopian, 25% Sumatran coffee. So that's cool. They even put the coffee blend that they used.
Mm-hmm.
And these are in-house roasts. So if
Yep.
you're not familiar with Modern Times, they also roast their own coffee beans, and they sell like single origin cold brew
is
coffee.
Dope.
It's good.
It's really good.
If you want to try any of their beans or their cold brew, like definitely try it. It's actually very good.
You can get a lot, I think all of their cold brew at Whole Foods, here in the States at least. They have it. And it's always in stock.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little pricey there, but you can find it.
Yeah.
But it's good though.
It's very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll start us up. So I actually had picked this up like a couple weeks ago, and I had one, and I sort of like saving it, and I guess it's a good thing that I saved it.
I picked this up last week because I remember you saying you had this.
Yeah, and I was like, it's pretty good. Like, I'll just hang on to it. Because I mean, I enjoy stouts, but it's like I have to find like an occasion to drink them because it's not a style that I will like just go to drink, just like on a regular day. I feel like I have to be in the mood for like a stout. But anyway, so I picked this up and I really enjoyed it the first time I had it. I just love that like chocolate coffee smell, which is just so typical and like what I really want in like a stout. And yeah, after I had that first one and after I'm having this one again, it's like I'm really getting all those like chocolate flavors and smells. So I'm enjoying this one.
It's definitely really a very like chocolatey flavor. Like the smell too. You get a coffee chocolatey flavor. It's like they put it on the back, and they say it's like chocolate covered espresso beans, and that's the smell like in a flavor. For sure, just a really good way of describing it. That's also the taste that you get is like chocolate covered espresso beans, because when you take a sip, it's like you get coffee, but there's definitely a dark chocolate like note there. It's also, to me, it's malty, and then it's roasty, it's pretty heavy roasty flavor. It's not light by any means, I'd say.
It's also a little bit of a cherry flavor, and I think that lends a lot to the 75% Ethiopian coffee. Yeah, and then it's a little earthy. And I kind of like that. It's like this sort of bitter funkiness that kind of contrasts the roastiness and the not sweetness, but the chocolatey, like semi-fruity notes.
Yeah, it definitely, like, I get a lot of the kind of tart fruity notes, more so than like the funky to me, but I see the funky contrast that you're kind of talking about, but I
just like earthy funkiness, not like funk.
Yeah, not bad
like
funk. Yeah. But I like the kind of it's like almost in the aftertaste. It's like a tart. To me, it's like a tart feeling on my tongue. Like the tip of my tongue has like, it's like when you eat a tart fruit and it's that feeling when it coats. It definitely has that, which I think that's really cool because they definitely are using fresh, good quality beans, because I've had some other coffee stouts where it's just like, well, that just tastes like Folgers. Not really, but you know what I mean? It's just like that. It
smells like coffee. It tastes kind of like coffee.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. You probably just threw in like ground coffee or whatever, but yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Folgers.
Yeah.
Rolando's face.
As soon as you said Folgers, Mike, I was just like, oh.
No, it's not that bad, but I was just trying to impart, the feeling of not the greatest coffee inside of this beer.
Like, yeah, sure, it tastes like burnt cardboard, sure, yeah, and rubber.
Oh man, I had to drink Folgers a couple days because I forgot my coffee at work, and my coworker keeps a huge tub in their drawer
like
or whatever.
The instant stuff?
Yeah, the instant stuff. And I was like, I need anything.
I'll tell you, there actually is like a couple of decent instant coffee brands that are more like, they're like, oh, it's single origin, like instant coffee. If you're ever in like, feel like you're gonna be in a pinch like that, because instant coffee like lasts forever.
Yeah.
I would maybe get like a canister of that, because you're not going to use it too often, right? So just keep it in your desk and be like, all right, well, I forgot my coffee. Well, I don't have to drink this Folgers instant coffee.
Well, this was a different job. Where I'm at now, they at least have like the Keurig cups, and like they stock those every day. So I'm like, all right, I'll just grab one of these. But
that's how you know it's an upgrade.
Yeah. I've
yeah,
actually,
when you're calling Keurig the upgrade. Yeah.
It's a step up.
But I've had like some of the other instant coffees, like the flavored, the ones that have like a lot of things mixed in, like hazelnut cinnamon. Those aren't too bad, because it's not like you can taste the bad coffee. Really, you just taste hazelnut and cinnamon. Anyways, we're way off topic here. So my bad there on talking about Folgers.
This is a separate podcast.
Yeah. Separate podcast.
What's the ABV of that guy you're drinking?
5.8%. As you can see, the color is basically